get up, get up, get up.
What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to episode number 151 of the Mets'd podcast, the official podcast of the New York Mets. This is the third time. As you might see if you're watching the YouTube video, I am not in my apartment. I'm actually at Vito's apartment. Luckily enough, we live very close to each other, but I had to come over here. I guess I was experiencing some internet issues, and me and James have done this intro. This is now the third time, like I said, third time's the charm. We're talking about the Mets. We're talking about baseball. We're talking about our lives. You guys know the spiel. I can't say it too much more because it is, we've been saying it a lot. So make sure you're following us if you're liking what you're listening to and watching on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Mets'd. We've been putting out a lot of content there. YouTube video, like I said, over on the New York Mets YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, I know how you're doing, but I guess tell the people at home. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, we've been doing intros for like a half hour now. I just got back from a weekend in Columbus, an extended weekend in Columbus for the Michigan-Ohio State game. Was as bad as it could possibly be. I've told this 3 times now, so it just makes the pain worse. It's like taking a little knife and like putting it deeper and deeper into me, but got a last minute ticket to the game, sat in the student section with a bunch of other old people because it was just such an expensive ticket, and it was miserable. It was completely miserable. Yeah. Fire Ryan Day. I pray to God we don't make the playoff. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to get dismembered by Georgia. I really don't. I can't do it. It's pain. I've never felt pain like this as an Ohio State fan.
I feel like through speaking to you, though, you weren't that high on this Ohio State team this year, like early in the year.
I mean, I knew the second they started playing football, like they didn't really dominate any games. Like CJ Stroud just never really impressed me that much. Like the stats were always really good, but never seemed like he had that that next gear where he's like, I'm gonna win a game. Like he showed emotion for the first time ever in this game, and Ryan Day still made him punt. It was
not like a certain Gamecock quarterback who just puts the team on his shoulder. Spencer Rattler looking
Ratty.
like the top QB prospect that he once was. I thought he was gonna like a lock to come back to South Carolina for his senior year. But after how he's played these last 2 games against 2 big-time teams in Clemson and Tennessee and single-handedly leading these victories, I mean, I think he might leave, and I'm kind of nervous because I'd love to see him for one more year with the greatest coach in college football, Shane Beamer. Dabo Swinney is a fraud.
Yeah, fire Ryan Day. But also, I'm happy that Dabo Swinney's dead because I really hate that guy so much.
Yeah, no, I mean, he should retire because he said that when the players start getting paid, that's when he's out of college football. And we've known that Clemson's been paying players ever since he got there because Dabo is a rat. Yeah, soybean wind, right? I believe is what John Oliver called him.
Yeah, and he's also always been a snake oil salesman because the second he lost his amazing coordinators that they were paying like more money than most teams' head coaches, he became bad because he was always bad.
Yep, he was never a good coach. Absolute fraud. The Gamecocks are the best team in the state of South Carolina, and we're in the top 20 for the first time in a really long time, which is really cool. So shout out to the Gamecocks. Jeff McHitz, this one's for you, James. He sent me a personal message that he wanted to say to you. Clay, yes.
God.
Jeff McHitz. I believe his dad was an Ohio State alum, so this is good. It's going to hit home specifically. I'm pulling it up on my phone right now. He said, please chirp James from me. Tell him it's from McHitz with love, F Ohio State.
All right. Well, also I was talking to my boy Sam the whole weekend. You know who you are. Loyal member of the show. We're both Mets, Jets, Knicks, Rangers, and Ohio State alum. Well, he's actually still in school, but he will hopefully one day become an alum. So we were talking the whole weekend, just being really miserable together. So shout out to the listeners who are from our colleges.
Now to talk about some actual baseball, I feel like we should start with maybe some of the rumors that have been going on in Mets world because there have been a few moves, and I think that does impact maybe some things that the Mets do or how the market could look. But in terms of rumors right now, of course, the Jacob deGrom one is still swirling. I don't know who exactly put it out. I saw the article by Pat Ragazzo from Sports Illustrated.
Ken Roosevelt had a long one on The Athletic.
Okay.
Just like going with the week's rumors, he had a long blur about deGrom.
Yeah, and basically they were saying that they feel really, really confident that if it's not the Rangers, it's going to basically be the Mets, and that the Mets are relatively the favorite, and all of this doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. And again, we know absolutely nothing. I wish we did. It would be really, really cool if our relationship with the Mets gave us some inside info, but unfortunately it doesn't. And if I want deGrom back. I want deGrom back. It makes sense. I mean, you got to think of the teams that can actually pay deGrom, because however much money he has, and like we were talking about off camera before, he bumps you up basically into the luxury tax if you're almost any team to get him.
Not only does he bump you up in the luxury tax, but the way they structured the luxury tax during last season's CBA, he's going to bump almost any team up 2 brackets of luxury tax, because the first level of luxury tax and the second level of luxury tax are less than $30 million apart. And Jacob deGrom's contract will be worth more than that. And I don't know where the third level sits in accordance with the second, but I'm sure it's also relatively close to that. So getting Jacob deGrom as a team, you have to fully commit to putting yourselves multiple levels through the luxury tax compared to where you would have been before. So that limits his market first off from some of the high market teams, depending on how deep into luxury tax they want to go. And also, of course, it limits him from the small market teams because they don't have $40 million to give to one player. The Rays are a team that kind of emerged today in the Twitter sphere as the quote unquote mystery team for Jacob deGrom. And this also happened. We'll talk about him a little bit. Jose Abreu. Apparently, the Rays were also involved with him before he signed with the Houston Astros. This happens to the Rays every single offseason where they get rumored to every single free agent, like the veteran.
Freddie Freeman.
Yes, because like for a 1 year or 2 year deal, they're like, you know what? If we think this improves our championship probability this much, like maybe it is worth it. But they never actually do it. Maybe they will with DeGrom just because I'm just saying it and I'm the jinx. But it seems like they're always that team. So then you kind of look and it really does wind up just being, I guess, like everything else, the Mets, the Dodgers, now the Rangers, the Padres. That's it.
Yeah, we were all scared with Jacob deGrom and the Braves, and obviously it still could happen, but we were looking at their payroll and their structure, and basically he puts them in the second, right? Immediately if they were to sign him for what we think he's going to be worth, and that just seems like something the Braves wouldn't do.
As of right now, and this came straight from the Ken Rosenthal article, they were just barely short of the first luxury tax threshold, and they don't have a shortstop on their roster, technically. So if they were to sign Jacob deGrom for $40 million, he would catapult them already into the second level, and they would still need to sign at least another player.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of unlikely.
And the pitching market is super interesting too, because we saw Clevenger go to the White Sox for what, $12 million on a 1 year deal, and not that Clevenger's bad, but he's not good. And to get 12 mil kind of affects, I don't necessarily want to say Jacob deGrom's market, but more so like the Chris Bassett's of the world, the Taiwan Walkers of the world, where if he's getting 12 mil for 1 year, these guys are probably a little bit more expensive than we thought maybe.
I honestly think that is a little bit of a, like I'm probably one of the high men on Clevenger in terms of like people looking at like free agency, but I think that is a bit of a bargain for him, just considering that like $12 million for a starting pitcher that's not really what you pay for a real starting pitcher. Like that's around like what Taiwan got coming off, like not pitching for a couple of years. That's like around what Drew Smiley gets every single offseason. Like
just about to say Drew Smiley.
Yeah, like that's that kind of contract. That's mostly a guy who you see as like maxing you out at like 120-ish innings or being a bullpen starter bouncer. And Clevenger last year, I tweeted, it was kind of a cherry pick stat, but something I noticed, he was one of only 10 pitchers in all of baseball to have 3 different pitches with a whiff rate over 29%.
Yeah, no, he started working on a sinker, right, this year, I think.
And and I don't think that was even actually one of the pitches that had the whiff rate over 29%. It was my last tweet, so I can scroll on it. For Clevenger, it was his slider, his cutter, and his changeup. And they're all hovering right around 30% each of them. So like none of them were really incredible, and that changeup was only thrown 10% of the time. These were actually just 3 fewest thrown pitches. And the White Sox are probably not going to be the team to tinker and really fix anything, but there probably is still a good pitcher inside of Mike Clevenger. Probably is.
No. And I mean, speaking of, or connecting the White Sox back to the Mets here, apparently the Mets, according to Joel Sherman and Heyman and those guys on Twitter today, had a Zoom meeting with Carlos Rodon, who I don't want to say friend of the podcast because I did go to dinner with him, but I don't know if I'm friends with Carlos Rodon. I don't know if I can say that. I think if Ernie was a part of us, I think he could say it.
I forgot what the coolest thing that happened this weekend. I didn't even tell John or Vito backstage any of our 3 tries of this. I was just hanging out with major league relievers like the whole weekend.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. One of my best friends from Ohio just bought a house. Shout out Ross, his girlfriend Erica. His first cousin is David Bednar, and also Will Bednar, and they were there at the tailgate because that's their family and they like Ohio State, and it was kind of a cool event. So the agency that Davis signed for was like, let's bring some of our guys here. So I was hanging out at the tailgate and some bars all weekend with Dave Bednar, Ryan Helsley, and Jordan Hicks.
That's very, very cool. Who was the coolest of the bunch?
I mean, Dave was the man, and like I've like talked to Dave cyberly, but I've never actually met him. He was just such a cool dude. Like and also like hanging out with him, he's just like one of the guys. Like you would never be like, this is one of like the 10 best relievers in all of baseball, like standing right in front of you. He's just drinking light beer, chilling. Helsley was also a super cool dude. Hicks was definitely the most athlete like of the bunch. He was he had a different kind of energy. But Helsley and Bednar, we were chilling hard. Like I'm really hoping to reconnect with these guys when they come back to New York, face the Mets.
Was it Dave or Will? I don't remember which of the brothers, but didn't Ross send them one of our podcasts before we were with the Mets, hyping one of them up, and they like listened to it and they're like, "It's pretty cool. Someone's talking about it."
Actually, I think that might have been Will because that was right after the College World Series. Will was there too, and like Will was a good dude, but he's just like it's very clear like the age difference. Like he's just like 21 years old. Like he's like he is. Like I'm sure it was like kind of like a lot for him to be around all these like people like this at this point. But yeah. Dave was dope. I was like being nerdy about pitching, and we literally, with me, him, and Ross, and my other friend Tyler, of course Tyler, we went out by out, at bat by at bat, his crazy outing against the Dodgers this year, the 50 pitch outing. And it was like listening to him talk about that, he was like, yeah, I got Turner down 0-2 with 2 fastballs, and like I was feeling myself. So like I want to get him another fastball, and that's when he got the blue hit. And then he was like, I had to get Freeman out there. And we were just sitting there like, what's it like facing Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts? We're like, how does that feel? And he's like, it's weird at first, but then like once you get him one time, you're like, okay, like I'm here, let's do this. And it was cool to hear a major league pitcher talk about it like that.
Yeah, Dave is really good, really good.
They said listen to our Scherzer interview.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Shout out to that. And that's also topical too, because it's the 1 year anniversary, right, of signing Scherzer. And
it's either the 1 year or 1 year and a day.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that more later because we still have all these rumors to go through. And Rodon was the last one. I mean, if you guys have been listening to us for any amount of time, I mean, literally since we've started, I think we've always been talking about we want Carlos Rodon. We think he's really, really good. We think I don't want to say he's just getting started, but he's just really getting healthy, which has always been the big thing with him.
The time that he's becoming a free agent, the way his career trajectory has gone to this point reminds me a lot of Zach Wheeler.
I was just about to say Zach Wheeler. That's exactly where my head was going.
It really feels like, and it's something I always say in this podcast, I'm sure you guys get annoyed with it, but it's like you're injury prone until you're not.
Yep.
Like at some point, you just have to kind of be like, we have to just like trust with the wind and just maybe it could happen. And Carlos Rodon looks like he's really about to play the best baseball of his career. Just came off the best season of his career. And it as long as it all stays together, it looks like he's only getting better.
How about we bring in DeGrom and Rodon and throw Kodai Senga in there too? Let's bring them all in along with Scherzer. Let's just build a super team. I'm completely in on that.
Super rotation. Yeah. Well, I mean, once you get 2 of those guys, you're already into the 3rd level. Let's just start having fun. Get the
another guy I've yutzed it up with before. Tommy Kahnle also apparently being rumored to be talking with the Mets. Good reliever. I'm sure you can give me a little bit more on the pitching side of him, but I will say as a person, loves video games. Very, very fun guy. Super funny. Really personable. So if the Mets do get him, I think we could have some fun with Tommy Kahnle.
I mean, yeah, we definitely could have some fun with Tommy Kahnle. We could definitely have a lot of fun with Tommy Kahnle. But Kahnle, the thing with him, it was always the changeup, right? It was always the changeup. Yeah, the crazy changeup. It's hard to keep a guy like that on your radar because he doesn't really pitch that often anymore. But he had the upper 90s gas with the changeup. The last year he pitched like a real year, he was throwing those like kind of similar amounts. And I can see right now in his baseball savant chart that the changeups keep going up and up and up. It's also a small sample size, so it's kind of hard to take those pitching usage percentages to heart. But that changeup is elite. He's going to throw it a lot. It's just whether or not he can, stay healthy and stay on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Mets need to find some innings. We just mentioned a lot of guys that can give us some innings, and the bullpen, of course, you kind of just throw a makeshift bullpen together and hope you get guys with good stuff. But as we get more and more info and news on these guys and rumors and everything, we'll keep talking to you about it. But otherwise, pretty slow week in terms of Mets news. The other big thing that happened in baseball, I feel like this week, was about Jose Abreu signing that 3-year, $60 million contract with the Astros, which good player, but I'm not giving him 3 for 60 at 35.
I think that Jose Abreu, since he's just still been so good the last few years, it seems like he had a legitimate market. Like I think a lot of teams were willing to give him both years. I think the Astros separate themselves, wanted to give 3. And the Astros also are in a unique position for 2 reasons. One, they don't really pay anybody on their team. So the Astros have a lot of money ready to give out right now if they felt the need to. We were looking at their payroll yesterday. It was like 130, 140 million, even with Abreu on there, maybe 150. Jordan's locked in for 7. Tucker's in his first year of arbitration. Bregman and Altuve are making almost 60 million combined. That's really it. All those pitchers are either first year of arbitration or still completely free until they bring more guys in. Like Rafael Montero, one of the biggest contracts in the team. They just signed that. And they're also in a unique position at this point in free agency because they've been the only team that's actually really been aggressive. They're also hilariously the only team without a general manager. So looks like Jim Crane is just kind of saying, I want these guys now.
He's pulling the old Jerry Jones. I'm the owner and the GM right now. I don't just sign the checks. I decide who gets the checks.
He's like, I could do this. Like, why not?
I've played MLB The Show before. I have a fantasy baseball team. It can't be that hard.
I've got some money.
Especially when you have the roster construction of the Astros. Like you said, there's almost no wrong answer here with the Astros.
No, I mean, I'll pull it up right now just because I want to say it because it's funny. When you build a team like this, and you could see the kind of flexibility that you actually have at a given moment. Bregman's at 30, Altuve's at 30, Abreu's 20, McCullers 15-8, Presley 14, Montero 11, Neris 8, Jordan Alvarez 8, Martin Maldonado 4. Those are the only guys with contracts ready to go right now. Then Framber's only in his 2nd year of arbitration. Tucker's in his 1st. Urquidy's in his 1st. Oh my God. Javier's in his 1st.
And
Again,
I know with this Abreu move too, there was a lot of talk in Mets Twitter world about Abreu becoming a Met, but I think me and you both agree on this that it just made absolutely no sense.
I mean, it made some sense in the fact that he's a power bat and a team could use a power bat, but it's just it would be hard to fit on one roster Jose Abreu, Pete Alonso, and Daniel Vogelbach.
Yeah, and
Three,
especially after some people have been writing articles, Mr. Suitman over there in the tuxedo in his
yeah,
profile pic,
Mr.
talking
Black
about
and
how
White.
Daniel Vogelback doesn't make sense as the main guy. Made it a big distinction that he can't be the main guy. It's like, we play righties like 60% of the time. That's who pitches in the Major League Baseball game, and Daniel Vogelback crushes righties. There's no doubt about that.
And this was also compared, I saw a little bit, to the Mets missing out on Schwarber last year. I don't think anyone was actually talking about the Mets signing Schwarber besides us, realistically. And the difference is just that he actually could slum it in the outfield for a little bit. Like he wouldn't be
Yeah,
good at it, but at least he could do it. Like to have Abreu, even take Vogelback out of the equation. To have Vogelback and Pete Alonso, two guys who do nothing besides DH and play first base, you're killing a lot of flexibility of your roster. And we saw how much roster flexibility hurt the Mets down the stretch last year. So while it would have been nice, in terms of an idealistic fit to put Jose Abreu in the Mets lineup, you have a very limited amount of hitters on your roster every single day. And to have a lot of them do the exact same thing isn't really the proper way to build a baseball team.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. Good player, just probably didn't
Yeah,
make sense. And again, at that money too, Mets have a center fielder and starting pitching and a lot of different positions to take care of before figuring out
absolutely.
who's going to be our DH along with Dan Vogelback.
Yes, and that's it. Sometimes roster construction lets you have different advantages in different places, and they can do that.
Uh, we were talking about this earlier too, off camera when we were texting about figuring out what to talk about on the podcast. Because again, we kind of have to scrape together some ideas sometimes when it's been a slow week. But we did see something that was kind of cool that the Mets did, and that is Eric Chavez being promoted to the bench coach, which
hmm
might not sound like anything, but I think it was actually like a really cool thing that they did.
I think so too, because Chavez just got such rave reviews last year, like the entire year. Members of the team, the organization, the coaches, everyone said he did a great job. Even and you look at the way the Mets hit as a team last year in his first year as the full time hitting coach. And while we might have different memories of how the season ended, if you look at the full sample of the entire season, the Mets were one of the best offensive teams in baseball, one of the most productive and got the most value out of their bats. So it's clear who's doing something right. Another big part of this move was that Jeremy Barnes was promoted to be now the hitting coach to take the place of Chavez. And that's important because last year, I think he was either the assistant hitting coach or the hitting coordinator, one of those two roles. And he was apparently getting a lot of steam for other teams trying to hire him as their hitting coach. So this was a bit of the Mets defense in terms of coaching. We mentioned this a lot in the show last year when the Mets promoted Zausmer for a similar reason. Ben Zausmer, the assistant general manager, that you kind of just have to stay one step ahead of the other teams because another team is allowed to hire anybody from another organization as long as they get a promotion, as long as they get something better. And this little bit of chess that these major league organizations play with each other to maintain their own coaches is one of my favorite elements of the entire game. So cool that we saw the Mets do it and promote a guy who probably is very deserving of it.
A big shout out to Glenn Sherlock. Glenn Sherlock was the bench coach, still with the team, still with the organization. He's just now what they call him, the catching specialist, which I feel
Something
like is
that.
such an awesome name. That's just teach Francisco Alvarez how to catch.
Yeah, just
figure it out.
Get next to him and help him out all day long, which is great.
Yeah, no, I mean, talk about another DH option. Maybe Francisco Alvarez too, depending how he swings in spring training.
Absolutely. And just depending on how all his other options shake out. Because the Mets do have a lot of guys who can fill that role. It's just none of them are going to be probably as good at the dish as Jose Abreu, but there are options. And there's still, no one's been signed yet. The winter meetings don't even start for another 10 days. A lot. Is the team's this roster I think is going to look a lot different very soon.
Yeah, we have
again. We were saying we don't know anything. We don't know anything. I don't know. I think the roster could look different soon, maybe.
It's the weird thing. This is our first offseason now with the Mets. So where before we could say that stuff and it really didn't mean much because we were just doing our own podcast. Now we have to be we don't know anything because it's true. We don't. Again, can't stress enough. I wish we had inside info. I really do. It'd be cool. Be really
so
cool.
Cool.
We got to
be elevated.
Buddy up with Billy Epler. See what he's got. He has to listen. He probably knows. He's been hearing all the weird pitchers that you throw out every week, James. He's got them circled. He's these are the guys. James Shiano's, the pitching whisperer.
I'm going to get an email one day. Be hey, you want to come in for a few minutes? I'll be yeah.
Tell me about why Chad Kuhl's slider will really thrive outside of Coors.
Well, look at this. All right. We'll get it one day.
We'll get it one day. And then I guess in just cool stuff, this is the 1 year relatively 1-year anniversary of Max Scherzer signing with the New York Mets. And as we know, that's also the reason why we work with the New York Mets. And they found us. Pretty cool. I mean, Max Scherzer had a pretty good first year. Obviously, we want a little more health, a little more availability on the field. But when he was, I mean, he still was great.
Yes, and this actually also is to the day when we're recording this, November 29th, the 6-year anniversary of Yoenis Cespedes' large contract with the team.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what are those, like the last 2 big contracts the Mets have given out, basically, relatively speaking?
Yeah, more or less. 4 for 110. And with Scherzer's actual numbers, it's like 3 for 120 something, 131, 132.
A lot of money. Maybe I'm saying this as being a little annoying. But
Today actually is. Yeah, November 29th is the official 1 year for Scherzer as well. We were right.
I'd give Cespedes the money all over again. I sign me up. I know he ended up getting hurt in a weird way, and his career ended weird with the Mets. But man, the high when he was here was incredible.
I probably wouldn't. Ronnie Mauricio, also Winter League King, just hit a long, towering home run. Really, really stared at it for a while. 28 RBIs in 37 games, Dominican Winter League for Ronnie Mauricio.
He's been looking cut. I saw him post a picture on Instagram. Dude's putting on some muscle, which is good because, I mean, he's still a youngin'. So he's like just becoming like a junior in college, essentially, which is when I feel like these guys actually start to get muscles.
Yeah, that's kind of insane to think about. Also,
right? Like,
I was like on a college campus last couple of days.
Yeah, he's 21, right? I think, or he's not 20. He's 21, 22, I think.
Ronnie
Mauricio.
21, he's 21 right now.
Yeah, he's putting together a good winter league, and that's never something we will complain about.
Ronnie Mauricio on MLB's website is listed at 166 pounds.
Yeah, we know that's not true. We've seen the guy in person.
That's like only a few pounds more than me.
Dude, one of the funniest weights that I've ever seen listed was for Oswaldo Cabrera before he actually got called up for the Yankees this year. At one point, they had him at, I think, 5'11" and 130 pounds. And I was like, was
Oswaldo...
Oh, your mic? In case you guys didn't know, a little behind the scenes, this episode's cursed. James' mic just unplugged during the middle of the episode.
Terrible. I literally didn't even move. The wire's all on my table, very nicely in a line. It just stopped working. And,
yes.
Oh God, so
episode 151 will be one to remember for us. I don't know. Hopefully it's one for you guys to remember too. Hopefully you're enjoying the chaos that is episode number 151. Anything else in the baseball world to really talk about? I feel like the cool stuff that's been happening has been like World Cup related.
Yeah, I mean, the other one thing we should just mention briefly is that Baseball America's top 10 Mets prospects came out the other day. Our friend of the show, Matt Eddy, did a little conversation with some Mets fans on Twitter. Basically, people asking about like what the system's going to look like with a lot of players graduating at once, where the system needs work, where it needs help. Because Baseball America actually ranked the Mets, I think, 8th overall.
I mean, we have our top 10 is good. It's just that we do lack the, I think, organizational depth that a lot of like maybe the Rangers have or something like that.
Yes, and I know that they love as an organization they love Alvarez. They just think the power floor is incredibly high, and which I agree with.
We watched him play last year. He hit some balls, and you're like, wow, those are hit really hard, and you're 20, and you probably really are just starting to figure it out, maybe even. Like, isn't it weird to think about what we consider primes and how hard he hits the ball now and how much better he's probably going to get over his time? Like, oh, he's so cool. Francisco Alvarez is the man. I can't believe we interviewed him.
I know, a long time ago. That was also funny to interview him. It's also that's not available anywhere because you have never put it on YouTube.
Yeah,
I've been asking you for years to put it on YouTube. Never done it once.
Got to bring it back for the Messed Up channel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that first upload in like a year, put it on there. But that was the first moment we were like, all right, we can actually do this. Like this is gonna be pretty legit.
It'd be cool to see if Francisco remembers. I wonder how many people he got interviewed by actually in Brooklyn.
It'd be hard for. I'm not gonna like toot their own horse here. It'd be hard for him to remember us because we didn't even like speak his language. I think we have a better chance of like Brett Beatty remembering us because that was like funny. Like we got him as like the only people at the Fall League who probably interviewed him, and it was swirling winds. But I think Alvarez like maybe, but like we didn't speak his language, so it's hard to actually connect.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although he was having fun with us with the testing the mics and all that. He was having a good time, and maybe we'll get to talk to Francisco this year. I hope we do. And unfortunately, I don't think Ernie will be coming along as the translator this time.
It'd be nice if he did. I mean, it would be that. Do you want to actually have a chance to remember us? Like, here are these two guys in their own translator. That's the way to do it.
Bring Ernesto. Bring him with us. New Mets fan.
Randy we saw Randy the wild card series. He'll be around. Shout out Randy Alexander.
Randy is a legend. Hopefully he's listening. What's up, Randy? And I mean, I really wish there was more baseball. I'm dying for it, especially on the YouTube side. I am really itching for a big move to happen. Who's the first domino to fall, James, of the big names? Is it changing?
No, I've been saying Jacob deGrom. I mean, do you count Jose Abreu as a big domino?
No, I don't count him as a domino because like
20 mil.
he doesn't change the market though, like at all. Like him and
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo are relatively similar-ish value
I guess.
players, and Rizzo signed already. So
It's kind of weird. They got almost the same contract, and Rizzo is at least
he's
younger by a good bit.
I think he's 2 or 3 years younger. I think he's 33 right now, and that's going to be his 33-year-old season. And Abreu will be his 36-year-old season. So
Yeah, let's see. We're really scraping here for baseball, guys. That's all we got.
we do have though. You guys liked it. Cap or no cap, and John has some questions for us about Max Scherzer since this is the 1-year anniversary. John rocking the USA kit, as they say it over in Europe. Big win for USA today over Iran. Iran? What's the correct pronunciation?
Iran.
Okay.
No, because that was a point of contention in one of the press conferences. Did you hear that clip of the guy getting really mad?
Tyler Adams
Tyler Adams
handled it perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Because listen, like I think it's right to get the pronunciations correct, but it seemed like the guy was looking for trouble, and he handled it beautifully, very respectfully, and he's something you should be proud of.
Iran.
All right, John.
Iran, I believe. Iran, it doesn't matter.
We should probably stop. We should probably stop saying it wrong and just move on.
Yeah, just like the USA moved on today with a brilliant 1-0 victory.
Ooh.
Just what an incredible, exhilarating victory. James, there's one thing I want to bring up. That first of all, you not mentioning that you were hanging out with Ryan Housley and
I totally forgot, dude. I spent the whole day with them.
I mean, that's
Hollywood James now.
That's awesome.
Dude, they were
so
dope.
cool.
They were very cool.
But there's something that you need to share with the listeners because you told me this secret, and I'm going to play this. So I think you said the last 2 times Ohio State lost to Michigan, what happened immediately after?
Last 2 times Ohio State lost to Michigan in football, they immediately beat Duke in basketball.
And obviously the big game tomorrow that everyone in the country is going to be watching is the number 10 Hoosiers taking on, I think, number 18 North Carolina at Assembly Hall. And the appetizer for that is, James,
The Buckeyes and the Blue Devils.
So if you're out there and you're listening and you fancy yourself a sharp, sounds like a lock to me. I don't know.
I won't say that. Absolutely not. But sure, whatever.
Johnny Stats.
Right.
He's got the numbers for us.
Well, my heart goes out to James. I actually felt terrible, and I texted James.
I didn't. Why? What do you feel bad for him for?
You didn't text me. You texted me.
I texted the group and I asked if you were actually there.
Oh yeah, I was actually there.
There's no feeling bad for James. He's seen a national championship. He's seen a lot of success. No feeling pity for him, John. You went to Indiana too. Don't feel bad for the guy. They stomped you all the time, every year.
No, actually, John feels bad because Indiana always played Ohio State close until recently.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you're totally right. You know, it's like when the Yankees lose, do I feel bad for a Yankee fan? Absolutely not. I felt bad that James, as the diehard Buckeye fan that he is, and it really showed through with the soliloquy. Just to kick this podcast off, like I felt it. It sounded like a WFAN caller, except on whatever the hell the call letters are out in Columbus. To go and travel and be there, and you know, like get on a plane round trip. And you?
Oh, I actually drove. I drove there one way and flew the way back.
Okay, that's animal. You drove there?
I mean, dude, because I didn't know I was going to do this until like the day before, and the flights are insane to get a flight that quickly the day before and Thanksgiving weekend. And my shout out friend Tyler, him and all 3 of his brothers went to Ohio State, and it's like a tradition in their family. Their dad drives the one kid back who's still in school. Jack's a junior right now, and Tyler was like, "We have a spot in the car, so just hop in." We left Friday morning, like 10 a.m.
Jack being a junior.
How long is that? How long is that drive?
8 hours. We actually got there in like 7:20. It was kind of incredible.
Charlie Leadfoot over there.
Charlie Leadfoot. We just like it was just the 4 grown men in the car. Like we took literally one break where everybody got food and went to the bathroom exactly halfway through, 250 miles in.
It's impressive.
8's not terrible. My drive to Indiana when I used to drive out there was 12.
Yeah, so I've done that. We've done the 8 so many times now too. Just like having a car.
South Carolina was like a 12-hour day because of my stops and everything like that. But it was like I think around 660 miles. So it's about 10, 11 hours usually.
Man, when I was younger, one time driving out to Indiana, I got pulled over in Ohio for going way too fast because eventually the road, it's just mesmerizing and like
It's also that Indiana drive. I'm sure was it Route 80 or was it 76? We're just highway talk with the Mets'd podcast.
This is where we're at.
It was 70. It was 70 West. 70
Yeah,
West.
70 is a great place to get a ticket. I've gotten tickets on there before.
Oh,
John, can
I
I
had
tell you
jersey
actually
plates.
21?
Tell me.
This was 2020. I was like when I was living with Marc at the time, I just did like a month on the road. I had 2 separate months on the road. This was the second one. I just lived with one of my friends in Columbus for another month just to hang. And I was driving back. It was during the really, really crazy IU Ohio State football game. And I was
I
listening to it
remember it.
on the radio. It was going down to the last second. And I got pulled over in the 2-minute drill. And I told the cop in Ohio, I was like, the Buckeyes. I don't know what to do right now. And he was like, "All right, just please slow down." And that was it.
That's awesome.
The Hoosiers just inflicting fear. Yeah, you got off
My
lucky.
fault.
I
I'll
did
never
not
forget.
with my jersey plates. I got a big ticket. I had to go to London, Ohio to fight that one. I mean, not fight that one, but I was very guilty of going very fast. But
Hey, you
yeah,
learned.
that's
You learned a
funny.
mistake. It was a day of growth for you.
Oh, I don't go a mile over the speed limit now. You can check my driving record. I
Never.
pride myself on being a responsible, safe driver. Anyway, so like you guys mentioned, it is the anniversary of Max Scherzer, and it's crazy. It's just 1 year ago that we were all refreshing Twitter. We didn't know each other. Max Scherzer was becoming a Met. The MLB lockout was impending, like 48 hours away before all the player headshots went away for what seemed like a lifetime. It was only a couple months, but
We held the largest Twitter space there had ever been. So let
Yes.
that be known. Mark Luino and James Shiano, pioneers of Twitter spaces.
And one of the longest.
some people say it was the peak of Twitter, and now it's going in the wrong direction, but I don't know. Anyway, so to commemorate the anniversary of Max Scherzer, I did some digging about Max Scherzer, and not his baseball career, because a lot of us know the stats. 3-time Cy Young winner, the guy's a Hall of Famer, just won his 200th game. But more personal things about Max Scherzer. Very interesting character, very cerebral fellow, too, as you guys got to know firsthand with the interview you did with him. So our second edition of Cap or No Cap is going to be Max Scherzer themed. So this is how it's going to go. And I know that you guys both know the rules. Cap means it's not true. No cap means it's a fact. I'm going to make a statement. You guys are both going to have the chance to chime in and say whether it's cap or no cap. We're not going to go back and forth like last time. I'm just going to make a statement. And for those listening, I will pretty much call on whoever puts their hand up first with the answer. And if you get it wrong, you get a point. And if you don't get it wrong, you go backwards like we usually do.
Okay.
And then Vito and I are going to actually have a surprise for you guys for the next episode based on who wins or loses this. So that's going to be good.
A
And we're not going to tell you
surprise.
until next episode. Oh, yeah. Big
I'm not
surprise.
gonna be-
Big surprise, guys.
You're not going to be able to sleep.
I don't like surprises.
Well, you don't?
I mean, they're fine. Whatever.
If you were having a baby, would you want to know the gender or would you want to wait?
Oh my God.
100%. I would know it. And whenever that happens in 30 years, I would like to know as soon as possible.
Gender reveal
30
party.
years.
Let's do it.
No, I would absolutely. I would rather do terrible things to myself than have a gender reveal party.
Totally going to do the soft toss into like hitting the ball and seeing what color it is. That's it. You just got to make sure you hit it. Or you
Yeah,
can't do
right.
a
Yeah,
can't do
and
a
if you
Kirk
don't-
Cousins. Can't do a Kirk Cousins and miss the target.
Mhm.
Nightmare. That's nightmare fuel. All right, anyway. So let's get going with these Max Scherzer facts. Our first one. Max Scherzer was a soccer star in high school, top goal at the World Cup. Mark.
No cap.
It's cap. He was a basketball, baseball, and football player.
That's not a soccer
Did
guy.
not play soccer.
You know what it was? I thought
We
I
get
thought he
foul.
mixed. I thought he mixed in a little soccer just because,
He
like,
would have had to have been a keeper. He's too big to be on the field.
no. You the soccer players have some height. Despite Ronaldo, like one of the best
Defenders
ever.
have height. Defenders have height.
Forwards
I don't know
do
if
too.
there's much
A lot of
height.
forwards have. Romelu, I can name them off. You guys, you're talking to the guy who actually knows soccer over here.
6'3", Mark. That's not. I
Yeah.
think that's a little.
Look at Romelu Lukaku. The guy's like
So
Didier Drogba.
So actual like some of the most advanced players in the world. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but
They
Messi's
exist.
5'6".
I know. I
Messi's
love
5'6".
Messi. We love short kings over here.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's a -1 for Mark.
That's a shame. I didn't know I would lose points. All right.
Yes.
last time.
Our next fact. Max and his wife Erica are avid scuba divers. James,
No cap.
you are correct. They are
Wow.
actually avid scuba
I
divers.
read that somewhere
We
randomly
did-
one time.
Yeah, I think right before we interviewed him, I threw that at you guys. The interview was literally incredible, so there was no need to bring up
I
scuba
think
diving.
he like threw that at us like right before it started. He was like, "Yo, by the way, they're big scuba divers." We're like, "I don't want to hear that right now."
I'm like, I don't even know what to ask him. Like, how do you You bring the same intensity to scuba diving as you do on the mound.
Be like, Max, hold your breath right now for as long as you can. Go.
That would have been so funny. We should have done that.
That actually would have been hilarious. Next time, spring training. By the way, what does scuba stand for? Anyone know?
Science.
No.
Okay, I don't know.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Come on, guys.
Nerd.
Okay, number 3. Max Scherzer was a finance major at the University of Mississippi.
Oh,
Cap.
yeah, it's Cap.
Why is it Cap?
Because he went to Missouri.
There you go.
Missouri, he's a Tiger.
Close.
That's good. That's good. That's good attention to detail. I like that because last time with the Dr. Seuss books, you guys weren't paying close attention to detail. So this is good. So you guys both got that one. I think we can all agree.
I'd put my hand up well before Mark did.
Listen, there's delay. We know we've been experiencing issues here. I mean, come on. On my screen, it looked like I was first.
Oh my God.
James is still chapped about the Edwin Diaz, Alexis Diaz estimate.
It's true. You gamed it.
Listen,
John's shaving points over here. John tries to Vince McMahon this podcast. You guys don't see it behind the scenes.
That's Cap. Okay. The next one. Christopher Walken and Alexander the Great also had heterochromia, which for those who don't know is 2 different colored eyes. Cap or no cap? Yes, Mark.
That's Cap. Christopher Walken's a hazel-eyed man from Astoria as well.
It's no cap. There's no way I would have thought to make those 2 names. There's not a chance in hell.
How do we know that Alexander the Great 2 different color eyes?
That is true. You know what? Asterisk. Don't count it.
No, I take it back. We know for sure. Meticulous
James,
records.
Why would you open your mouth, dude?
History major.
I don't believe it. This game is under protest.
All right. Well, I will prove it to you guys after. So you can protest all you want, but it's no cap. It's true.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Max owns a restaurant in Washington, D.C. that only serves shrimp. Cap or no cap?
Oh, what?
James?
No cap.
He can't
It's
own a
Cap.
restaurant. Yeah,
It's
okay.
Cap.
I know. I was gonna say. I just.
It's an appetizer. You can't. You
I took
can't
a
have
shot.
only shrimp.
I
With
took a
Bubba Gump.
shot.
Bubba Gump only is shrimp, isn't it?
They sell so much. First of all, who's going to Bubba Gump?
I mean, not me. I don't like shrimp, but
You like
Okay.
shrimp?
nah, you know what?
Shrimp's good,
It's all
but as an
right.
appetizer,
Yeah.
shrimp cocktail's good. But like, who's ordering shrimp for their main?
I don't know. You
Taco,
get a
shrimp scampi.
jumbo shrimp. Is that what they're called, right? Jumbo shrimp? You get some
Options.
some prawns. Prawns are shrimp, aren't they?
Shrimp in your paella. Shrimp in your
That-
jambalaya.
Yeah. All right. I got 2 more for you guys, real quick.
Fine. Hit it.
During the 2015 offseason, Max and his wife got a dog named Rocco, who also has 2 colored eyes. Mark,
No cap. That's true.
that is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. There's a tweet to verify that. Rocco's a very cute doggy. I believe they have 4 dogs right now. They do a lot of work. They do a lot of work with animals, which I greatly admire. So that's awesome. What are you guys laughing at? That I said Rocco's a very cute doggy.
You being
Yeah.
like 30 years old and saying doggy is very funny.
John Wichity was 30. I believe he's 31.
Oh,
Thank you,
His-
James, for that.
his Piazza
speculation.
year. His Piazza year.
Yeah,
It's a
it
fiasco.
nauseated me to hear you talking about the olds. I was on a line at the bar this weekend in Bloomington, and I was talking to some girls that were on the swimming team, and I was like, "Yeah, it's my first time here since like 2014," and they were like, "2014? What are you, 30?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I'm 31, but thank you for rubbing it in." So.
Oh yeah, there was one young lady in the student section. She was like, "Are you a junior or a senior?" I was like, "Thank you so much."
You don't know what you just did to me. My head is so big right now.
You can do anything.
Did you live in a dorm?
She actually did. Yeah,
That's
she was just a
crazy.
sophomore.
Dorm life, it's good stuff.
Mhm.
All right, here's the last one. Max Scherzer was traded in a 3-way deal from the Diamondbacks to the Tigers that also sent Marcus Thames to the Yankees. Cap or no cap?
Ooh, man, there's a lot of truth in there. But is the Marcus? Isn't it pronounced Timms? Marcus Timms, or is it whatever? It doesn't
Timms.
matter.
I know he was a hitting coach.
I feel like I need to get myself out of a hole here, so I'm gonna get involved. I'm gonna call
Okay.
that. I'm gonna say that's cap. I don't think that happened.
That is correct. It was Curtis
It wasn't
Granderson.
Thames, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Every
Curtis
other fact there was
Granderson.
true, though.
Did Marcus Thames
that is
ever
correct.
play for the Yankees, or was he just their hitting coach? Because I remember him on the Tigers.
That trade also didn't that trade send like Phil Hughes or something in it, or one of the classic
Phil
Yankee
Koch?
pitchers? Maybe him
Phil
too.
Koch was involved in that trade.
Yeah.
Marcus Thames did play for the Yankees, by the way. And then I believe
okay.
he went on to be the hitting coach or some sort of hitting instructor for them.
Yeah, definitely hitting coach. And now he just got hired to be the new hitting coach, I want to say, for the Angels. I feel like I know that from somewhere, but I guess it also doesn't matter.
That trade was wild. First of all, Daniel Schlereth, son of Mark Schlereth, was involved in that trade.
Oh, yeah.
Edwin Jackson, who went on to throw a no-hitter for the Diamondbacks.
Like
Phil
150
Koch,
pitches, too.
yes, in Tampa Bay, right?
I don't know.
In Tampa Bay.
I think it
I
was
don't know
home
who
maybe against
for.
Tampa Bay.
He also has the record for playing for the most teams in Major League Baseball history.
Did he break Octavio Dotel's record
He did.
in that category? Yeah. That's tough. That's a great record. That's a great fact. Ian Kennedy was also in that trade.
That's who it was, Ian Kennedy.
That makes sense. Yeah, that grouping of Ian Kennedy, Phil Hughes, they like all felt like the same, came up around the same time, and kind of never were good starters. Well, I guess Ian Kennedy had that 1 year with the Diamondbacks, so that's not true.
And he had a nice relief career. Anyway,
Yeah.
So Mark, I believe you're the loser of this one.
Well,
So
we'll check the tapes, and we'll
I don't
see.
think
I
it's
believe,
true.
I believe you're the loser.
I got the last two right. I think I got 3 correct and 2 wrong. I think I answered 5.
Yeah, but you were going backwards. So that comes out to a grand total of 1. It's all right.
I think James has 1 too. I think he got 1 wrong.
No, I think I got 2 or 3 right.
There were 7 of them. It's an odd number, so it's impossible.
We'll check the tapes.
We'll check the tapes. But yeah, I'm really excited for the surprise next week when I see you guys in person. So that'll be great. The next time we talk, hopefully the USA is marching on. Beat the Dutch. They ain't much. And
Ooh. I like that. I'm stealing it.
There you go. And I'll talk to you guys next time.
John, as always, it's a pleasure. We will see you on the next episode, just like we'll see you guys. That's where we're wrapping it up. We are done here on the Mets'd podcast. Make sure you're following us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're looking for the YouTube video, go to the New York Mets YouTube channel and subscribe. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download the podcast. I say this again, download the podcast and make sure you are subscribed. It really, it helps us out more than you even know. We really appreciate it. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And follow me at Giraffenic Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Hopefully we have some big news the next time. If not, we'll keep talking about anything that's going on in the Mets baseball world. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace out, guys. See you next time.
Get up, get up, get up.